uninvited guest. The night was tormented by a relentless storm that rattled the windows and sent torrents of rain drumming on the roof. Sarah, a 16-year-old who enjoyed her solitude, found herself home alone as her parents were away for the weekend. She curled up on the living room couch under a warm blanket, her laptop illuminating her face with the eerie glow of a horror movie. Each flash of lightning illuminated the room, casting eerie shadows that danced on the walls. Thunder rumbled, making the very foundation of the house tremble. Sarah was determined to prove to herself that she could handle a night alone, but the storm was testing her nerves. As she watched the movie, the lights suddenly flickered and then plunged the house into inky darkness. Sarah's heart raced, but she fumbled for her phone, using its flashlight to dispel the darkness that seemed to close in around her. And then she heard it, the sound that sent icy fingers of dread racing down her spine. It was a soft, rhythmic tapping, distinct from the cacophony of the rain against the windows. It was deliberate, like someone gently rapping on the glass. Sarah's breath caught in her throat as fear gripped her. She knew she should be cautious, but an overwhelming curiosity compelled her to investigate. Slowly, she approached the window, her pulse pounding in her ears, and cautiously parted the curtains. What she saw on the other side sent her heart into overdrive. A shadowy figure stood there, backlit by the sporadic flashes of lightning. Panic surged through her as she realized that she didn't recognize the intruder. It wasn't a friend or family member. She backed away from the window, her mind racing. What should she do? She couldn't call her parents, they were hours away. The storm outside seemed to mock her, with lightning flashes that briefly illuminated the intruder's menacing silhouette. Sarah decided to take action. She crept silently to the phone in the hallway and dialed 911, whispering her location and the intruder's presence to the dispatcher. Her voice trembled as she described the situation. As she hung up, her heart pounding, she realized that she needed to find a place to hide. She darted into the kitchen and crouched behind the counter, clutching her phone tightly. The minutes ticked by like hours, the storm outside matching the turmoil in her mind. Suddenly, there was a deafening crash from the living room. The intruder had broken a window. Fear coursed through Sarah's veins as she heard footsteps drawing closer. She held her breath, her phone's screen illuminating her terrified face. The intruder entered the kitchen, unaware of Sarah's presence. He moved with purpose, his intentions unclear. Sarah's mind raced, trying to think of a way to escape or defend herself. Then, just as the intruder was about to discover her hiding place, the blaring sirens of approaching police cars filled the night. The intruder froze, his eyes widening in panic. Without hesitation, he fled out the back door just as the police burst into the house. Sarah emerged from her hiding spot, trembling but safe. The police assured her that they had apprehended the intruder outside and that he wouldn't harm her. As the storm finally began to wane, Sarah's parents arrived home, greeted by the flashing lights of police cars. They hugged their daughter tightly, grateful that she had handled the terrifying ordeal with courage and quick thinking. A night alone. Emily's husband, Mark, had been away on a business trip for 3 days, leaving her alone in their suburban home. As a strong and independent woman, Emily didn't mind the solitude. However, when the sun dipped below the horizon and the house plunged into darkness, an uneasy feeling crept over her. She settled in for the night, determined to make the best of her alone time. Her trusty dog, Max, was her companion, providing a comforting presence. Emily poured herself a glass of wine, turned on some soft jazz music, and curled up on the couch with a good book. Hours passed, and the storm outside began to intensify, unleashing a torrent of rain and gusty winds that rattled the windows. Emily's unease grew with each clap of thunder. Max, sensing her apprehension, nestled closer. Just as Emily tried to convince herself that her imagination was getting the best of her, she heard it, the unmistakable sound of glass shattering. Panic surged through her as she realized that someone was trying to break into her home. She carefully set her wine glass on the coffee table, motioning for Max to stay put. Heart pounding, she tiptoed to the hallway closet and retrieved her phone, dialing 911 as quietly as possible. She reported the break-in and her address, trying to keep her voice steady. With the phone clutched tightly in her trembling hand, Emily crept towards the front door, where the intruder had likely gained entry. The sound of footsteps and hushed voices sent shivers down her spine. They were inside the house. In the dim light of the hallway, Emily made out the silhouette of a figure moving cautiously through the living room. She knew she had to hide, but there was no time to retreat to her bedroom. Instead, she slipped into a nearby coat closet, her heart pounding in her chest. She held her breath as the intruders entered the hallway, their voices growing louder. They seemed to be searching for something, valuables, perhaps. Emily's mind raced, and she prayed that the police would arrive soon. Suddenly, the closet door creaked open, and Emily found herself face to face with one of the intruders. Her heart felt like it might leap from her chest. The intruder's eyes widened in surprise, and before he could react, Max lunged at him, snarling and barking furiously. Chaos erupted in the hallway as the intruder grappled with Max, trying to escape his relentless fury. Emily seized the opportunity and bolted from the closet, racing to the front door and flinging it open. The wailing sirens of approaching police cars filled the night, drowning out the sounds of the scuffle inside. Emily stumbled out onto the front lawn, gasping for breath. She watched as officers swarmed her home, apprehending the intruders. Mark, having received a frantic call from Emily earlier, arrived home to find his wife safe but shaken. They clung to each other, grateful for Max's bravery and the swift response of the police. Midnight confrontation. Sarah, a college student, found herself alone in her off-campus house as her roommates had gone home for the weekend. The prospect of solitude didn't bother her. In fact, she welcomed the peace and quiet. She settled in for a night of studying, cocooned in the comforting glow of her desk lamp. Rain pelted the windows, creating a soothing backdrop to her work. Sarah's only companion was her loyal cat, Whiskers, curled up on the windowsill, gazing out into the dark and stormy night. As the clock neared midnight, a loud crash echoed through the house, shattering the tranquility. Whiskers leaped off the windowsill, his fur standing on end. Sarah's heart raced as she realized that someone had broken in. She grabbed her phone, hiding behind her desk, and dialed 911, whispering her address to the operator. The operator assured her that the police were on their way, but it would take a few minutes. Sarah strained her ears, trying to locate the intruder. She could hear footsteps, slow and deliberate, echoing from the hallway. Panic set in as she realized the intruder was getting closer to her room. Desperate to protect herself, Sarah picked up a heavy textbook and clutched it tightly. Her trembling hand held the doorknob as the footsteps reached her door. She steeled herself for a confrontation. The door handle jiggled, and Sarah's heart seemed to stop. She could see the doorknob turning slowly. Sweat trickled down her forehead as she prepared to swing the textbook with all her might. Just as the door started to open, a flash of lightning illuminated the room. In that fleeting moment, Sarah caught a glimpse of her would-be intruder, a masked figure with cold, calculating eyes. Before the intruder could step inside, a deafening clap of thunder rattled the house, and the lights flickered and went out. Panic ensued as Sarah realized that her advantage had disappeared in the darkness. She gripped her textbook tightly, her breath shallow and rapid. The intruder, disoriented by the sudden blackout, stumbled into the room. Sarah swung the textbook blindly, connecting with the intruder's shoulder. A sharp cry of pain filled the room as the intruder stumbled backward. Sarah seized the opportunity and bolted from her room, fleeing down the dark hallway. She could hear the intruder following, cursing in frustration. Just as Sarah reached the front door, the police arrived, their sirens piercing the night. Floodlights illuminated the house as officers rushed inside, apprehending the intruder. Sarah collapsed onto the wet lawn, her heart still pounding from the adrenaline. Her roommates returned home early the next day to find her safe but shaken. The incident left Sarah forever changed, but it also taught her that she possessed a resilience and strength she never knew existed. The night she stood up to her would-be intruder became a defining moment in her life, a testament to her courage in the face of danger.